We have pleasure to have with us esteemed Vice Chancellor of Jammu University, Professor Manoj Kedar, who has been kind enough to grace this occasion as chief guest. Professor Manoj is spirit behind organizing such events and undertaking research, field and interactive activities in the Center for Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy. Sir, it is my pleasure to welcome it on this very particular occasion. We also have with us the resource person of the day, Dr.Archana Kaushik from Department of Social Work, University of Delhi. Madam, you are also welcome. I welcome all participants, our colleagues, students, and others who have been participating in today's lecture. Before I invite our esteemed Vice Chancellor to open the lecture series to be organized by the Center for Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, I would like to share in brief that the Center for Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy was established in 2008 by UGC under 11th Five-Year Plan for the study of socially excluded social groups such as Dalits, tribals, Gujjar and Bakarwals, religious minorities, women, people from the areas which are disadvantaged areas and other disadvantaged groups. Sir, this is just for your information also. The center has mandate to conduct or have some activities like at present we are offering open choice courses in third and fourth semester at PG level, collecting information on social exclusion and building up of a database, carrying out detailed analysis based on the socio-economic data generated by the government agencies, organizing conferences, seminars, workshops on various themes of social exclusion at regular intervals, publishing the research findings on the studies conducted, and organizing extension lectures, public talks on the subject by eminent scholars. Reaching out to the scholars, especially young scholars of other universities and colleges through inviting visiting faculty. Sir, since 2018, the major activities undertaken by the center are, to be very precise, center has conducted 9 lectures and public talks, has organized 3 seminars. Center has also organized 2 workshops on specially abled people and transgenders. The center has published 6 research papers in various national and international journals in the session 2018 and 20. The center has also privileged to publish a monograph on the positioning of marginalized communities in J&K, and then lecture series published which were being organized by the center. These are being published as lecture series in volumes 1 to 4, and center has also published an editing volume titled Social Exclusion and Marginal Communities, Challenges of Deprivation and Discrimination in the Year 2020. The center has also been awarded a research project on seasonal migration and human development, a study of Bakarwals in Jammu and Kashmir, with a total grant of 8 lakhs by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, Jammu and Kashmir. And sir, this is for your information that last month this project has been completed and submitted to the agency. Sir, so far as the research and the studies which are being conducted, just to share with you, the social exclusion of women in agriculture sector of the rural households in Jammu district, economic sustainability and technology adoption challenges among Gaddis, living on the extreme margins, the life of third gender hijras in Jammu region, trends and determinants of childhood malnutrition, morbidity among Gujjar tribals in J&K, social exclusion and horizontal mobility among local society, a study of Mahasha community in Hiranagar Tehsil, assessment of urinary tract infection symptoms and health hygiene among adult women, socio-economic conditions and societal behavior responses, experiencing the plight of widows in Jammu city, cultural boundaries and social exclusion, a study of practices related to menstruation among women of Kuta, Kathua district, nutrition status of underprivileged children, a study of Bal Ashram, Araspura, factor of exclusion among TB patients in Jammu urban areas, and border of exclusion, a study of Gujar community in Jora farms, Araspura, Jammu, and last is the occupational mobility among Christian community in Jammu urban. These are the few research works which we have undertaken during the last 2 years or 3 years in that way. So we are making some effort that so far as the center should get recognition in the civil society also. That's why we are interacting with the civil society. And during this time of COVID, as you have encouraged us and you have asked particularly the center to organize such activities, we are privileged to organize now the series of online lectures and interactions. And today we are privileged to have Dr.Archana Kaushik with us. Just to give very brief profile of our resource person, I may mention that Dr. Archana Kaushik works in the Department of Social Work, University of Jammu. She is specialized in criminological social work, and then his doctoral work was on the social adjustment of elderly women in urban setting. She has conducted several research studies on the issues related to aging, such as determinants of active aging in rural and urban locale, vulnerability dimensions of elderly women in north and northeastern states, social support to the age, margins to the center, and empowering Dalits in India chronicles the process of empowerment of many powerless and marginal Dalits located in Varanasi district of Uttar Pradesh is her study, which has been recognized not at the national but at the international level. She has been associated with HelpAge, a pioneer organization working for the well-being and empowerment of elderly. Dr. Kaushik is a master trainer of National AIDS Control Organization on HIV counseling. She has written several units of various topics on social work as course material for undergraduate and postgraduate students enrolled in IGNOU. She has participated on many occasions and expert in radio programs directly aired on Gyanvani and also at Gyan Darshan educational TV program organized by IGNOU. For the information of our audience and those who are participating in this lecture, I would like to mention that she has authored 7 books, and she has also written more than 100 research papers and research articles which are published in various journals of national and international repute. A special aspect of her profile is that Archana Kaushik has been invited as a resource person at several news channels as expert to talk about social issues, and prominent one are Amir Khan's show Satyam Ev Jate, titled Old Age Sunset Years Sunshine Life, Asmita program at Lok Sabha channel, a special report on old age issues at Rajya Sabha, Total TV, and such others. So in that way, she has very rich profile, and we are privileged to have her to share with her her experiences with her. But before we invite her, sir, I take this opportunity to request you to open the lecture series to be organized by the center and bless the center with your kind words. Sir, please.
Good morning, everybody. I hope I am audible. Mr. Jasbir Singh, our Director of the Center for Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, and our guest speaker today, Dr. Archana Kaushik from Delhi University, who Professor Jasbir Singh has just now talked about her very high academic profile. So, on behalf of University of Jammu, I wish to welcome you, Dr. Kaushik, to the University of Jammu. Although physically you are at a long distance from us, but I would say that with the technology which is at hand today, we are able to connect to you, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you and to say that there could not have been a better speaker than you who would initiate this lecture series in the University of Jammu. So, welcome to this, and with this, I would also like to compliment Professor Jasbir Singh and the distinguished faculty members who are associated with the center and who are otherwise contributing to various aspects of social exclusion and inclusive policy. I wish to compliment all of you, especially Professor Jasbir Singh, for taking this initiative of holding the lecture series in this difficult time. Present time is a very difficult time, not only in terms of the COVID situation, that is in terms of the health and other issues related to COVID, but it's also a difficult time since we have already faced the lockdown conditions, and there has been a major effect, I would say, on several communities, especially students who have suffered a lot in this particular period. But if you look towards the society, I would say that the people who are considered to be the marginalized populations, they have also suffered the maximum. Therefore, it's a very difficult time, and in this difficult time, having a lecture series on this aspect is very, very timely, because here we are to analyze that what could be the measures which could be taken so as to bring in that inclusivity which our education system, which our country is actually wanting us to be, that we want to, the education must be accessible, it must be inclusive, it must include all the sections of the society, the facilities and the opportunities which need to be provided to all. I think that is what is the aim and goal, and therefore I would say that such kind of seminars where we reflect on these issues and try to solve these problems, try to develop programs and policies which can address these issues, I think it's important and it's very, very timely. So many congratulations, Professor Jasbir and his entire team and other faculty members of the university who are present today, who are attending this wonderful seminar. I see that with every second there's an increase in the number of participants, which at the moment is 91. Is a very good representation. Now, I just want to say that I am really eager to listen to Dr. Kaushik, because as Professor Jasbir Singh said already, that she has been a very sought after speaker and guest speaker in many platforms. So I am really eager to listen to her. But just one or two points from my side. That first, as I said, that our goal in education is definitely inclusivity, and the opportunities need to be provided and policies need to be developed to bring in that inclusivity in the education. And it is also in line with the UN sustainable development goals, where I would say that if you go through these goals, you will see that there is enough mention of bringing in these sections of society into the mainstream, and we all must contribute towards that, to see that while India is a developing nation and we are making rich progress in several aspects, and lot many developments have taken place, but I think we need to do much more in these areas so as to bring these people in the mainstream and also take them along so far as the progress and development of the country is concerned, because they are the citizens of the country, and they need to be taken along for all the aspects of development. So with these words, I would say that we have in the University of Jammu, we have taken COVID-19 situation from a positive perspective, because we thought that this will also provide, and it has definitely provided us an opportunity to connect to the experts, to connect to the academicians, eminent academicians of the country, and also from abroad, wherein we are connected through this internet, through these different platforms, and we get an opportunity to connect to them, to listen to them, to uh, speak to them. So this is an opportunity which has come up. So let us not all the time be thinking more and more about the negative aspects of COVID-19, but I think let us take this as an opportunity of interacting and um, updating our knowledge about different aspects of the human life. So once again, I wish to compliment Jasbir ji, and I am really eager to listen to Dr. Archana Kaushik ji. So let's listen to her. Thank you so much for inviting me here, Jasbir ji, and
Thank you.
we should, without now wasting more time, let us hear Dr. Kaushik.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much. Now I invite Dr. Kaushik. Please start with your lecture.
Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity. I'm really elated as well as humbled by the words that you have said about me. Thank you, VC sir. Thank you, Jasbir sir, and the entire team of the center, the students, the faculty members. And I would be presenting through a slide, through some slides, and they basically. I would be focusing on my personal experiences of working with Dalit communities. Um, because secondary sources, definitely we can always get to know. But these are my own uh, experiences. I hope the slide is visible now.
Yes, yes, it's
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, as VC sir has rightly said, that in this Corona times, the focus of the presentation would be that only. But just to set the context, some of the information, I would not be talking in general about the caste system, how bad it has been, and as one of the traditional forms of apartheid, it has really taken a heavy toll on the lives, the human rights of marginalized community called Dalit. But my experiences have been through this action research that I took up few years back in Varanasi, and maybe some information related to that I would share. And as the center is on social exclusion and inclusive policy, so keeping that spirit in mind, I would be sharing some of the strategies that have really worked in the field. We talk of about this caste system a lot in during our discussions, during the research and all that, but few research studies have been done on how actually we can deal with the issues that caste system has raised, and how to reduce the vulnerabilities of those who are downtrodden. So the focus of my presentation would be towards those strategies and interventions that have been to a large extent remained successful in the context of Dalit empowerment. Particularly the study was in a few villages, and one of the villages was called Belwa. And we have seen that initially when One organization that I have taken up as a case study, it's called PVCHR, People's Vigilance Committee on Human Rights. It has been working for the past few years in Varanasi, and this successful intervention by them has been highlighted in my presentation, though there are many other organizations that are doing wonderful work, but because of paucity of time, I could not have taken many studies. So that is why I selected this one only. So this particular village I'm talking about is called Belva, and it is in Varanasi district. And the stark poverty that one would observe there, it is really very even derogatory to observe as a sensitive human being. What to say of experiencing by those people who are Dalits and who have been experiencing these day and night. We are in 21st century, and still hunger deaths has been one of the biggest blots India has on its prestige and fame. So hunger deaths have been observed there. Untouchability is being practiced rampantly. Social exclusion is very starkly observed, and so I would keep on sharing some of the instances that we have observed there, mainly focusing on the interventions, and especially in the context of COVID. So these are some of the factors of vulnerability that we had observed. This is across India, but more specifically, I would be talking about Varanasi. So there are certain structural factors like access to education is denied, untouchability is there, students, not because of physical distance, but because of social distance. Those children who belong to Dalit communities, they do not go to the school, or even if they dare to go, they face so much of discrimination and issues related to untouchability that they drop out. So illiteracy leads to ignorance, unskilled jobs, and poor income. But the biggest challenge that we observed vis-a-vis their empowerment was this internalized sense of inferiority. I tried exploring what it means to be a Dalit. So for them, they have internalized their inferior status. They say, yes, we might have done something wrong in our past life. Hamare karma aise hain. God wanted us in this way. So a sense of acceptance to their inferior position, hopelessness hai. They do not. They think that it is just the oppressors' abuse and exploitation is very much justified, and they deserve to be treated in that way. So वो एक biggest challenge है human service professionals के लिए, all those who are involved with empowerment of Dalits. So this internalized caste inferiority is one of the biggest challenges, leading to hopelessness, poor self-worth, and because of that, they do not take up any steps or maybe any measures to break that vicious cycle. And definitely oppressors also control all the resources, power, and they purposefully abuse and exploit the Dalits so as to reclaim their sense of superiority, and so that Dalits do not ever dare to raise voice. एक sense of जो power का concept है ना, वो I would take a few seconds on that. We often consider power as a commodity in a general this thing, that if I have power, you should not be having, because that is the scarce commodity, or if you have that power, I am denied of that. So wo sense of power needs to be challenged. Some manifestations of violation of human rights that we observed there. Manrega is there. Definitely, we all know about this right to livelihood scheme. एंड बट उस बेलवा विलेज में पर्टिकुलरली जो दलित कम्युनिटीज हैं, दे आर नॉट एनरोल्ड. उनके पास जॉब कार्ड्स हैं भी, तो भी दे आर नॉट entitled to work under Manrega because the sarpanch happens to be from upper caste and he is holding 2 bricklins जो ईंट भट्टी होती हैं और उसका एक शराब का ठेका भी है. So he knows कि अगर दलित्स मनरेगा में काम करेंगे तो he would be not having workers under for his own work. So that is why despite Manrega being there, it is not of any use to the Dalit communities. 21st century में we also observed labor bondage there, और bonded labor abolition act के अंदर भी we cannot catch hold of such maybe establishment because वो paper work पे दिखाते ही नहीं है. They would say कि we have only 2 staff or they are also relatives. So उस पेपर वर्क के चलते they are not at all come under the conflict of law with regard to the legislations related to labor bondage. So and particularly Musahar is a community that is the most disadvantageous. Dalit term लगता है कि एक homogeneous entity होगी, but it is not. There are many sub caste groups within Dalits, and one of them is Musahar. As the name suggests, it's called rat eating community. और उनकी poverty इतनी extreme है कि initially when PVCHR started working there few years back, maybe almost 16 years back, at that time और आज भी because of this COVID problem, many of these Musahar communities they resorted to eating akri. एक घास होती है, grass होती है, उसकी रोटियां बना के खाना because they do not have grains. और उस टाइम पे भी there were anecdotes, even the field workers they have observed कि रैट के जो चूहे के बिल में हाथ डाल के थोड़े से अनाज के दाने निकालना, या जो केटल गोबर कर देती हैं तो गोबर में हाथ डाल के जो अनडाइजेस्टेड फूड ग्रेन्स हैं उनको निकालना. और जब किसी भी फील्ड से सारा का सारा अनाज किसी एक गोदाम में या कहीं पे जाता है तो रास्ते में जो भी छोटे छोटे दाने गिर जाते हैं, दे वुड पिक अप दैट एंड ट्राई टू सर्वाइव थ्रू दैट. So most of them have been working in bricklin, और वो 4 महीने because of this monsoon season उनको 4 महीने bricklin बंद होती है and they are perpetually on starvation. Every second household एक week में उसकी death हो गई, इसकी death हो गई. So there have been lots and lots of cases that we came across. A woman उसने सुबह सुबह बच्चों को सुबह मतलब 11:30-12 बजे बच्चों को पानी में नमक मिला के और घास की रोटियां बना के खिला दिया, और उसके बाद जब बच्चे रो रहे हैं तो उनको चांटा मार के सुला रही है क्योंकि और कुछ खाने को है नहीं. 1 हफ्ता पहले उसके एक बेटे की डेथ हुई है, उससे 10 दिन पहले उसके फादर की डेथ हुई है. सो दिस हैज बीन अ रियलिटी इन दीज विलेजेस. और वोटिंग राइट्स बिल्कुल नहीं थे कुछ कम्युनिटीज को बिकॉज द सरपंच ही वाज देयर डिस्पाइट वी हैव 73rd कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट 5 years में चेंज होना चाहिए एंड ऑल दैट, बट बिकॉज ऑफ द नेक्सस बिटवीन district administration, police and these elected representatives, तो कभी भी power rotate नहीं हो पाई. And many of the Dalit people, they never voted. So and they said कि हमारे उसमें तो है ही नहीं. We are destined to remain poor in this way. So all these factors have led to poverty, social exclusion, marginalization. एक और छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल, वहाँ पे वीवर्स भी हैं. वीवर्स आर पर्टिकुलरली पुअर मुस्लिम्स और वो हैंडलूम वीवर्स हैं. बिकॉज ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन ग्रेजुअली वो हैंडलूम की जगह पावरलूम, और नाउ दे आर into starvation mode. One particular Muslim family who used to be quite well off, आज से 20-30-40 साल पहले, और उनका प्रोडक्ट भी बहुत अच्छा माना जाता था, बहुत अच्छी साड़ियाँ, खूबसूरत साड़ियाँ दे यूज्ड टू सेल ऑफ, खुद से बनाते थे. एंड बट ग्रेजुअली ग्लोबलाइजेशन से वो सिल्क मिलना कम हो गया, और जो मिडल मैन थे दे वुड से कि ये कलर कोई पसंद नहीं करता, और वो जो एक्सप्लॉयटेशन का एक पूरा रूटीन शुरू हुआ, उनका प्रोडक्ट किसी ने लेना बंद कर दिया, और इमिटेशन बनारसी साड़ीज के बहुत सारे आ गए. एंड एज अ रिजल्ट दिस लेडी हु वाज द मदर ऑफ 7 चिल्ड्रन, अपने छोटे 2 महीने के बेटे को शी सोल्ड ऑफ 2000 रुपए में टू हर डिस्टेंट रिलेटिव, थिंकिंग कि शायद ये बच जाए, क्योंकि बाकी तो ग्रेजुअली दे आर डाइंग ऑफ हंगर. So this another man who kept on selling his blood till the time उसको टीबी हो गया, एंड हर दूसरे महीने में जाके वो ब्लड देता था just to get 200 rupees. So these kind of manifestation of poverty we have seen there. Coming to COVID-19, these are some of the news headlines that you can see showing that there have been rampant increase in exploitation on Dalit communities, and across country हुआ है. तमिलनाडु का थोड़ा सा ज्यादा हाईलाइट हुआ है. Now some of the lived experiences of these people before we take up the issue of how to handle this menace. COVID time में health emergencies remained neglected completely. Dalit people, they as such could not dare to go to health centers. जो भी होते थे क्योंकि डॉक्टर्स डिस्क्रिमिनेट करते थे. There have been in fact बेलवा विलेज में we have seen कि साउथ साइड में जहाँ पे शमशान घाट है, क्रिमेशन ग्राउंड है, उसी के पास में ही मुसहर, चमार, नट, अदर बस्तीज वर ऑन द पेरिफेरी ऑफ द विलेज. सेंटर में देयर आर बिग पेंटा हाउस टाइप, उसमें वहाँ पे सारे अपर कास्ट ठाकुर्स एंड ब्राह्मण्स उनके घर थे, और उसी के पास में ही हेल्थ सेंटर है, स्कूल है. और बिकॉज द एरिया वाज क्वाइट मे बी बिग, तो 3 आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर्स वर एलोकेटेड इन दैट पर्टिकुलर विलेज. बट जो मुसहर एरिया, मुसहर बस्ती थी, वहाँ पे कोई भी आंगनवाड़ी सेंटर नहीं खुला, particularly because जो ANM है, जो आंगनवाड़ी वर्कर हैं, belonging to upper caste, they would not even touch the Dalit children or pregnant lady, and as a result IMR, MMR in areas में बहुत ज़्यादा होता था. So normal circumstances में they could not avail health facilities. What to say of the time when Corona is there? So there have been many reported cases जहाँ पे बच्चे खेलते हुए किसी का हाथ टूट गया, किसी को और चोट लगी. Pregnant lady है, all of a sudden labor pain शुरू हुए, could not go to the hospital. Both mother and unborn child could not be saved. बच्चे for 15-20 hours रोते रहे before they could get some medical attention, and that too through civil society intervention. Loss of livelihood हमने देखा है सब जगह बहुत रहा है. तो ब्रिकलिन वर्कर्स, उनका ये चला गया because of this sudden lockdown thing. There were many Dalit ladies who were working in the households of these upper caste people, तो वो भी नहीं रहा. एक लेबर बॉन्डेज का एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग फिनोमेना देखा है कि पहले टाइम में भी देश में लेबर बॉन्डेज थी, बट एट दैट टाइम थोड़ा सा पैटर्नाइजेशन था कि अगर मैं, मेरे अंडर कोई लेबरर है जिसको मैंने बॉन्डेड लेबरर रखा है, सो आई वुड एंश्योर दैट ही एंड हिज फैमिली इज सर्वाइव. बट लेटर ऑन, मतलब अभी आप उसमें देखें तो वो पैटर्नेज वाला वो नहीं है. इफ दे डाई, लेट देम डाई. सो जो एक्सप्लॉयटेशन है, दैट इज सीन इन इट्स एक्सट्रीम फॉर्म. So marginal workers, these semi workers, ये सब की loss of livelihood definitely is there. Weavers के पास काम नहीं है and they are also starving. लोगों के पास particularly in communities में maximum इधर daily earning से daily खाने के लिए सामान आता था और maximum एक week का आता था कि I have earned enough so I can buy food grain and other essentials for one week for my family. So because of this sudden lockdown thing, वो buying capacity चली गई, cash नहीं है, migrants they have been strangled and reverse migration is also there. There have been though media does not report so much, but one of the newspaper clippings, it says that 30,000 migrants from Maharashtra, Gujarat and Rajasthan वो झाबुआ district मध्य प्रदेश की तरफ जा रहे हैं and 30,000 have reached. So other states में भी यही situation है, so reverse migration, and those who went there, they have been targeted कि these are the sources of corona infection और उनके साथ उसी तरह का discrimination हो रहा है. That we have seen in the case of HIV even. Transgender हो, female sex workers हो, they were the vulnerable groups, but they always are treated as source of infection. So likewise, these poor migrants, they are vulnerable to corona infection, but they are treated as the source, and that is the precarious issue that we need to address. मनरेगा का काम बंद हो गया, पीडीएस से राशन मिलना अचानक से बंद हो गया है, caste based violence कितना increase हुआ है, we have seen कि 5-fold increase. These are the reported cases. और जो American Psychological Association ने अपनी study में बोला है, जो reported cases होते हैं, for one reported cases 19 cases go unreported. So that is the ratio कि सिर्फ one report हो पाता है. So these are we can assume कि caste based violence or discrimination कितना huge होगा इन दिनों. Now let me come to this process of empowerment, sharing some of the strategies and interventions that have really worked in the field, and these steps that we could observe through this empowerment process were awareness generation first of all. So in fact, even in COVID situation, we have seen that creating right kind of awareness among the community who are weak, who do not have even access to information, तो उनके लिए वो awareness generation ही बहुत important था. Conscientization is one of the very important links that oftentimes human service professionals they neglect it. But unless we conscientize, because conscientize का एक entire psychology है कि identity में shift होना. I am Dalit, I am poor, I cannot do this, I justify my present situation and I am hopeless, I do not see any future कि मेरा कुछ भी better हो सकता है, उससे change करके उस situation में लाना कि yes, I can feel कि yes, I can bring about certain changes in my present situation for the better. That entire process of conscientization is very important. Then next step that PVCHR and many other CSOs that successfully could empower is through system accountability. System accountability means कि administration से जवाबदेही मांगना, उनको accountable बनाना, पुलिस को accountable बनाना, administration को accountable बनाना, and for that lot of advocacy through and this can be media advocacy, this can be administrative advocacy, legislators को involve करके advocacy करना. So all these strategies have been employed to ensure that the system becomes accountable, and that is the right, basic right of each and every human being, including the Dalits. कि system responsive हो उनकी needs, उनकी maybe जो भी requirements हैं उनकी तरफ, and they should not be discriminated. जब constitution discriminate नहीं कर रहा है तो system also, the government also has no right absolutely to discriminate in any way, and that would lead to पॉलिसी चेंज. सिस्टम अकाउंटेबिलिटी से रिलेटेड एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल आई वुड लाइक टू शेयर विद यू कि कितना अनअकाउंटेबल ये सिस्टम रहा है. वन ऑफ द केसेस ऑफ बेलवा डिस्ट्रिक्ट, बेलवा विलेज इटसेल्फ, वहां पे वन रिपोर्ट, एक दो अपर कास्ट यूथ ने रिपोर्ट लिखवाई पुलिस स्टेशन में जाके कि हमारा मोबाइल चोरी किया है, सो एंड सो मुस्लिम पर्सन का नाम लिखवाया कि इसने लिया है. पुलिस उसके घर गई, दैट पर्सन वाज नॉट देयर, उसके एज और उसके छोटे भाई को पुलिस स्टेशन लाया और इतना पीटा कि फादर डाइड ऑन द स्पॉट एंड द यंगर ब्रदर ही बिकेम डिसेबल्ड फॉर द लाइफ टाइम. अगर वो मोबाइल चोरी हुआ भी होगा तो इज दिस द कॉस्ट द फैमिली वुड पे? और वो नॉर्मली चोरी नहीं होता है. वी हैव सीन इन एम्पल केसेस की पुलिस अपर कास्ट को बचाने के लिए या जस्ट कि हमको क्यों इतना मेहनत करनी है, they would catch hold of any musahar, any Muslim and उनको कोर्ट ले जाएंगे, उनको पुलिस स्टेशन ले जाएंगे, वहां पे कस्टोडियल टॉर्चर, कस्टोडियल डेथ्स के बहुत सारे केसेस हैं. सो दिस हैज बीन अ रियलिटी ऑफ इंडिया दैट इज ऑफन remain under the carpet and we need to see it in order to intervene and bring about the positive change. Coming to responses and interventions, गवर्नमेंट हैज डन अ बिट बट वो दलित तक पहुंचता नहीं है. सो व्हाट दीज CSOs are doing or NGOs are doing, including what PVCHR has done, is quick situational analysis and based on that awareness generation, dispelling the myths. बहुत सारे मिथ्स होते हैं क्योंकि इंफॉर्मेशन आधी मिली है, तो उन मिथ्स को डिस्पेल करना बहुत बहुत जरूरी होता है. एंड बहुत बार दिस अवेयरनेस जनरेशन, राइट, गेटिंग राइट काइंड ऑफ नॉलेज इज सो एम्पावरिंग फॉर देम. रिलीफ मटेरियल का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना, एक कम्युनिटी किचन वहां पे बनाई गई जहां पे इवन NGOs के सारे वर्कर्स भी खाना खाते थे. कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग जो एस्पेक्ट्स हैं वो ये है कि कम्युनिटी किचन जहां पे इवन अपर कास्ट पीपल वर आल्सो इनवाइटेड टू हैव फूड, दो मेंटेनिंग डिस्टेंस. बट वो उससे क्या होता है कि बहुत बार प्रॉक्सिमिटी लीड्स टू dissolution of discrimination. We have seen in the case of HIV also कि जब forcefully ही सही साथ में रहने दिया जाए या साथ में रहने को मजबूरी हो, तो ग्रेजुअली धीरे धीरे हम रियलाइज करते हैं कि जो दूसरी कास्ट का, दूसरी सेक्शन का पर्सन है जिसके अगेंस्ट हमने बहुत सारे नोशन बना रखे थे, वो वैसा नहीं है. एंड वो जो हमारे मिथ्स और मिसकॉन्सेप्शंस और स्टीरियोटाइप्स हैं वो दूर होते हैं. एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द स्ट्रेटजीज दैट PVCHR हैज यूज्ड इन थ्रू दिस community kitchen and also involving the upper caste groups. क्योंकि upper caste group के साथ भी सारे के सारे लोग ऐसे नहीं हैं कि they want to discriminate. Some of them are really sensitive. And if we give the blanket statement कि तुम सारे upper caste खराब हो, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो पूरा रिकंसिलिएशन का प्रोसेस वी आर स्टॉपिंग. सो इन दैट वे, एंड इफ अपर कास्ट पीपल दे आर प्रेज्ड कि आप बहुत अच्छे हैं, यू आर सो कंसिडरेट, यू रियली हेल्प योर फेलो बीइंग्स जो अभी दलित हैं, एंड यू डू नॉट बिलीव इन कास्ट सिस्टम. सो एक बहुत पॉजिटिव एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट करने में उस तरह की स्ट्रेटजीज दे वर्क. So I often teach these strategies in the administration paper that I teach in the department under behavior change communication, under social marketing. So these have been really helpful. Self-help groups भी उनसे मास्क बनवाना. उनसे क्या हुआ, ये self-help groups दलित women के थे और दलित women they took up the maybe एक feeling of सुपीरियोरिटी या कंट्रोल आती है कि यस वी आर डूइंग समथिंग फॉर आवर फेलो बीइंग. तो एक गुडनेस वाला और एक कोऑर्डियल रिलेशन क्रिएट करने में दैट हेल्प्स. इसके साथ ही बहुत सारी अर्जेंट अपील्स NHRC में, यूपी स्टेट ह्यूमन राइट्स कमीशन में, इवन सुप्रीम कोर्ट में दिए गए और उन सबको ट्विटर, ईमेल्स, ब्लॉग्स, फेसबुक, इन सब के थ्रू फैलाया गया. तो वहां पे दिस बीइंग द प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी, इट इमीडिएटली ग्रैब्ड द अटेंशन ऑफ इवन द political parties that are in opposition. So Priyanka Gandhi also tweeted and she offered help कि ऐसे कर सकते हैं. Even district administration, CM, PM की तरफ से भी सपोर्ट का ये आया. One of the slogan that Prime Minister in his मन की बात has said, 2 गज की दूरी है बहुत जरूरी. This came out in one of the SHGs. जब उन्हीं दलित लेडीज से ही पूछा जा रहा था कि आप क्या करना चाहते हैं, आप कैसे बताएंगे दूसरों को, तो लेट अस क्रिएट सम स्लोगन. सो दीज दलित लेडीज दे क्रिएटेड अपने लोकल डायलेक्ट में, तो उसी का ही वो थोड़ा सा हिंदी उसमें ये है, 2 गज की दूरी है बहुत जरूरी. सो दिस वाज अप्रिशिएटेड बाय द PM इन मन की बात. एंड तो जो पूरा मीडिया को इन्वॉल्व करके एडवोकेसी करना और फेसबुक, ईमेल, ट्विटर के थ्रू सब जगह इंफॉर्मेशन फैला के, क्योंकि ट्रांसपेरेंसी आप जितनी मेंटेन करेंगे, जितनी ज्यादा अवेयरनेस मेंटेन करेंगे, उतना ही ज्यादा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए इट बिकम्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू डू द नीडफुल. तो वो अकाउंटेबल रहने में मजबूर हो जाते हैं. सो दैट हैज बीन हाईलाइटेड इन मेनी ऑफ दीज. और जो अर्जेंट अपील्स थी वो बहुत सारी ऐसी थी कि वीवर्स जो स्टारवेशन डेथ्स के नियर हैं, 2000 रुपए पर मंथ उनको फॉर एटलीस्ट 6 months के लिए दिया जाए पर फैमिली को. इमीडिएट डिसबर्समेंट ऑफ फूड ग्रेन्स मुसहर कम्युनिटी के लिए, और भी बहुत उसमें जो सोप नहीं थे और बहुत कुछ जो एसेंशियल आइटम्स थे वो नहीं थे, उनकी डिसबर्समेंट. सो एट मल्टीपल लेवल दीज अर्जेंट अपील्स, और उसमें बहुत मल्टीपल मे बी इंटरवेंशंस, सजेस्टिव इंटरवेंशंस वर टॉक्ड अबाउट. तो CMO और हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पूरा इसको भी इन्वॉल्व किया गया कि दे शुड हैव आइसोलेशन वार्ड्स या आइसोलेशन के लिए प्रॉपर स्पेस वहीं पे दिया जाए. सो ऑल दीज एफर्ट्स वर वेरी वेरी एसेंशियल इन दैट. And involvement of political parties, that really highlighted the issue और वहाँ पे positive work हो पाया. Now coming to this vulnerability और empowerment जो है बहुत dynamic process है, and it is like a continuum. So certain interventions can lead to empowerment, or situation में which all interventions we can take out that would lead to empowerment. There is nothing called absolute poverty or absolute empowerment, at least practically. So it is graded और वो एक continuum की तरह है. तो continuum में आप जहाँ भी ऊपर जितना जाना चाहेंगे उतनी ही ज्यादा intervention, और जो interventions required है that can be done. And it can range from awareness generation to need assessment. Involvement is very very important thing. Oftentimes क्या होता है कि हम दलित्स को या किसी भी marginalized community को we become the giver and they are the passive receptors of whatever services we are giving. We think कि हाँ वो जो टॉप डाउन अप्रोच एक बहुत लार्ज, मतलब बहुत लूजली आई एम यूजिंग दिस टर्म, बट आई डिसाइड ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ व्हाट इज नीडेड बाय द कम्युनिटी. एंड वो मेरे अंदर बहुत सुपीरियरिटी भी आएगी बिकॉज आई एम गिवर. सो रादर देन दैट, इफ दे आर इन्वॉल्व, और जैसे मास्क बनाना वाज वन एक्टिविटी जो जिसने उनमें इतनी कॉन्फिडेंस बूस्ट किया कि दे फेल्ट इन्वॉल्व. सो वो बहुत जरूरी है उस कम्युनिटी की एम्पावरमेंट के लिए. Any NGO or any center like yours doing n number of activities would not lead to true empowerment unless and until we make them capable of empowering themselves. So वो एक टारगेट हमेशा हम लोगों का होना चाहिए. So advocacy, social assistance, ये सब बहुत जरूरी है. Provision of relief material, क्योंकि basic needs जब तक पूरी नहीं होंगी, you can't expect them कि नहीं, जब तक policy change नहीं होगा, you would not give up. because basic needs पूरी होना बहुत जरूरी है. So these all are the interventions. ये थोड़ी सी suggestive interventions है. There are all n number of interventions that can lead to empowerment, and these are situation specific or community specific. तो community culture and उन सब पे भी relate करती है. I know I might be taking too much of a time. Just 2-3 more minutes, or not more than that. Here I would like to maybe showcase some of the positive aspects after this during this COVID pandemic and after intervention. Some of the positive aspects that we could observe. So PVCHR was able to convince the administration कि जितने मनरेगा के अंडर वर्कर्स काम कर रहे थे उनका जितना भी पुराना पैसा था, because after 1 year 6 months they would be disbursing their wages, तो वो immediate disbursement का ये किया, cash disbursement दिया गया, particularly those who are very much vulnerable. फैक्ट्री वर्कर्स, जो फैक्ट्रीज थी जहाँ पे बहुत सारे दलित वर्कर्स काम करते थे, वहां पे भी they were thrown out of the job after this lockdown. सैलरी नहीं दिया, तो वहां पे भी सोशल एक्शन करके, एडवोकेसी करके उनकी जॉब सिक्योरिटी और एटलीस्ट हाफ ऑफ द सैलरी to be given at present, even if they are not working. That social action was taken up. Healthcare staff को भी provision of protective equipment and all that वो सब ensure किया गया, so that they do not have these excuses कि हमारे पास ये नहीं है, and that is why we are not able to provide care to the Dalit communities. In the past, through many of the strategies, including suspension of few ANMs and Anganwadi workers, after repeatedly maybe cautioning them not to practice untouchability, they still were doing it, so they were suspended, and that has created a kind of fear. And now the situation as such has improved, and healthcare staff, they have been to some extent responsive to the needs of the Dalits in in those communities where this NGO or maybe other NGOs are working. Pregnant and lactating mothers, they were also given special diets because of this lockdown, क्योंकि livelihood options नहीं बचे, तो special allocation of food grains and maybe packet food was provided to them. मुसहर्स के लिए cash disbursement, साथ में ही food grain का immediate relief packages were made available. Weavers के लिए electricity और बाकी सब charges नहीं देने के लिए और साथ में ही उनके लिए भी cash disbursement. तो specifically हर एक community की needs को ध्यान में रखते हुए intervention was planned, and addressing domestic and caste-based violence, that was also क्योंकि community बहुत this NGO was working in this community for quite long time, so now they have created whistleblowers कि जहाँ पे भी domestic violence हो या caste-based violence हो, immediately हमें बताओ, and then collective action was taken so that perpetrator के खिलाफ immediately the community initiates the process. So in this way the community was empowered, and we have seen over the years drastic reduction in cases of domestic violence and caste-based violence. Caste-based violence normally तब ज़्यादा होती है because we have seen one particular thing कि मैं powerful हूँ और if I am frustrated, so I can't take out my frustration on my HOD. So I would maybe take out frustration on my students or my child. So वो जो एक wrong way of dealing with our frustration and negative association, most of us have learned that need to be tackled. कि हमको इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस पे या इमोशंस के साथ डील करने पे काम करना होगा. This is the last slide. This is the rapid model, एक्ट्रॉन रैपिड नाम से मॉडल है, और ये for all of the students and maybe any one of us, जो आज की सिचुएशन में दलित के साथ या फॉर दैट मैटर एनी मार्जिनलाइज्ड कम्युनिटी के साथ काम करना चाहता है कैन टेक अप ऑन दैट. सो आर्ट स्टैंड्स फॉर रैपो एंड रिफ्लेक्टिव लिस्निंग. As social work professionals, human service professionals, we need to be responsive and sensitive enough to understand what is beneath the words somebody is uttering. For example, एक दलित अगर बोलेगा कि नहीं नहीं सब ठीक है, that doesn't mean सब ठीक है. So you need to ask the question. तो reflective listening क्या होती है कि जो नहीं बोला गया है but still उसको समझ जाना, हाँ हम क्या कर लेंगे. So in that would show helplessness. तो वो that is reflective listening is an art that we all need to develop if we wish to work in this particular field. So rapport formation and reflective listening is the first one, and based on that you do the assessment and prioritization. Assessment के लिए Maslow need hierarchy के physiological needs meet करना बहुत जरूरी है. Dalits most often at a particular time, maybe 2020 April में UNDP की study थी, and it has shown that every third Dalit is below poverty line in India, and so that calls for इंटरवेंशन. और उस केस में हम क्या कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि वो बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन वाला भी बहुत सारे ग्रेडिंग में होगा. एब्जेक्ट पॉवर्टी होगी, जस्ट बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन होगा, तो बहुत सारी सिचुएशंस हो सकती हैं. सो असेसमेंट एंड प्रायोरिटाइजेशन वुड मीन दैट फर्स्ट वी वुड एड्रेस द फिजियोलॉजिकल नीड्स. तो उसके लिए रिलीफ डिसबर्समेंट इज द ओनली मैकेनिज्म कि पर्सन को पहले बेसिक सर्वाइवल नीड्स उसकी पूरी हो, हाँ सेफली वो रहता हो कहीं पे घर रहने के लिए प्लेस हो. उसके बाद यू टॉक अबाउट अदर थिंग्स लाइक यहाँ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है तो ठीक है, वी वुड हैंडल इट इन दिस वे. सो this Maslow need hierarchy would give us some idea how to intervene and where to start, because most of the students they would come कि बहुत कुछ करना चाहते हैं मैम, but from where to start. So that really triggered me to use this particular model. John Hopkins University has taken up this कि हर एक maybe human service professional can understand this और वो at least referral services provide करे, but basic जो जैसे psychological जैसे first aid होती है, कहीं भी कोई accident हुआ first aid provide की, तो this is some kind of psychological first aid that can be provided to the marginalized communities, including the Dalits. So in pursuit of a shared dream towards an egalitarian, loving and caring society, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. It is really wonderful, search-based, thought-provoking as well as insightful presentation. Really, I am getting comments in chat box as well as on my mobile that you have conducted a very good study in a sense that this is the field study where people feel very informative in that way. So I feel that the participants, they must have been very benefited from your talk. Now we would go for a few questions because some people, they want to have some clarifications and they would love to have your response in that way. But looking at the paucity of time, I would like to take very few questions if you allow in that way. So in that very particular situation, there is one prominent question which is being there, and it is being stated that whenever, if I could understand it, this is that question goes like this: it has been observed that whenever Dalit question is raised in any discussion, be it in national level or educational institution, it is seen as political agenda. What is your take on this?
Thank you for the question. In fact, before I could do this study, for me also this was a political agenda. And I also used to have my own reservations against the concept of affirmative action. But when I did this study and when I saw the abject poverty there, दलित्स को जिस टर्म में हम यूज करते हैं या फॉर दैट मैटर हम एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस में जिनकी बात करते हैं, definitely they are also facing lot of discrimination. But जब आप रूरल एरियाज में जाएंगे और जो एक्चुअली दलित्स who are leading this kind of life, if you go to a Musahar household and see the plight there, बच्चे बचेंगे या नहीं, nobody knows. कौन कब मर जाएगा, nobody knows. आगे कोई फ्यूचर नहीं है. Living that kind of a life, you really understand कि ये political उसको जाने दो. And as a human being, it is my utmost duty to take care of them to improve their situation. अगर थोड़ी सी भी human sensitivity होती है, so we definitely, because और वो political agenda तभी तक बनता है जब तक we have not encountered the real India and the Dalits who are facing the kind of poverty, marginalization and exclusion that I observed in this particular study.
Well, the next question is, that is in fact in two parts. That is, can you share the reasons for selecting this particular village from Varanasi for the research study? And the second part of this question is that India caste system discrimination with Dalits abroad is now visible in Indian diaspora, as reported in news a few months ago. How do you look at this new aspect? So there are two dimensions to it. Why you have selected the Varanasi as such, and then how it is at the international level you feel about.
So first part A of the question, it was a purposeful selection because I wanted to, as a researcher, as an educator, just making the students aware कि Dalits की ये situation है या marginalized community की ये situation है was not sufficient. So I really wanted to study कि field में actually में what is working, and that has been, as a researcher, my maybe एक motivating factor मेरे लिए रहता है for any research that I take up कि what is the solution. So solution focused research has been my intentions. So because this organization PVCHR, I came to know about them through some of the studies that I accidentally kept on reading about them and all that. So initial discussion, they said we started our work in many of the villages, but this is one particular village there where we could get certain results, and we would appreciate if you also come and you share, you observe and you enlighten us what else can be done. So this was exclusively purposeful in order to understand the process of empowerment. That was the objective of the study. So that is it. And regarding the second part of the yes, sir, definitely Indian diaspora, wherever across the globe, it's there, and we are facing discrimination in number of ways. And that empowerment process, each and every individual has to find out for himself, herself, and at the same time, because the entire world, at least theoretically and principally, agrees to abide by the principles of human rights. So structurally, certain things need to be changed, and it is the duty of each and every government to bring about those structural issues. So social justice has to be the primary aspect of each and every community, irrespective of where, maybe whether it's Indians or maybe within India there are Dalits. So that in the social fabric of each and every society, social justice and human rights, these two values should be embedded. So unless and until that happens, तो ये manifestations रहेंगी. That is what my feeling is.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question is with regard to the current situation. That is the most important dimension emerging out of COVID situation is of stigma and the cut across caste, class, gender. So do you think that this is a new form of untouchability emerging, especially with an intense and compulsive social distancing being put in place?
Sure, sir. I have seen that. Even I stay in Southwest Delhi, Delhi being the capital of India, and there I have seen any suspected cases of COVID and the kind of stigma and discrimination that particular person faces. It is very, very depressing. So you are very much right that has created a new kind of discrimination and it is sidelining. In fact, the term social distance in itself is very, very demeaning. It has to be physical distance because it is physical distance. We should be socially connected and physically we may be at distance. So you are very right, sir.
Yeah. There are many questions, but because of paucity of time, we may not be able to take all questions. But there is a very important question. I think I see that it is impact of your interaction today. It is coming up. That is that I would like to mention the compliments also, as it has been given. Dr. Kaushik, appreciation for your very informative and exhaustive study on Dalit community. I have a small query. As we all know that Dalits are vulnerable to discrimination, exploitation and violence simply because of the caste into which they are born. What are your observations on how Dalit can realize their rights, especially of children, and break the cycle of discrimination? I think this is very comprehensive in a way. This also always remain in our mind. But participants want to take it from you that since you are working here, that how it is being there, what should be there that they should be able to break the cycle.
Thank you for this question. It's again a very interesting and very pertinent question. The entire book that I have written is on this process itself. This is the book, and as I mentioned, conscientization is the term that we use in order to start with it. आप जब तक identity में change नहीं लेके आएंगे ना, तब तक it would be just artificial or superficial intervention. Unless and until Dalits themselves realize कि yes, we have to take a stand for ourselves. So and वो बहुत बार जब हम लोगों ने काम start किया था वहाँ पे तो Dalits, they used to say, and first of all, making them believe कि human rights are for everybody. It is their rightful claim. आप पे कोई दया नहीं कर रहा है आपकी जॉब देके. और जो दलित जो अपर कास्ट होते थे, they used to say कि अगर आपने इनकी बात सुनी तो we would maybe आपकी जॉब से आपको निकाल देंगे, you would be dying of hunger, कुछ खाने को नहीं होगा. So और dealing with all that, particularly आपकी क्वेश्चन का बहुत शॉर्ट में आंसर अगर मैं दूं तो conscientization is the process. और conscientization के लिए हमने क्या किया था, one is contest किया था, debate किया था कि जैसे वो कहते थे अरे ये तो it is very common, हम लोगों ने कुछ पाप किए होंगे इसीलिए हमारा जन्म यहाँ हुआ, इसीलिए ऐसा हुआ. तो उस चीज को कंटेस्ट करना कि नहीं ये पाप वाला वो नहीं होता, हाँ नहीं हमारे बच्चे क्यों स्कूल जाएंगे, क्यों नहीं जाएंगे. सो बात बात पे जो आर्ग्यूमेंट्स को काउंटर आर्ग्यू करके और डिस्प्यूट करना और उनको रिफ्लेक्ट करने पे मजबूर करना, दैट वाज द बेसिक. जो कॉग्निटिव डिसोनेंस होता है और कॉग्निटिव रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग होती है, दैट इज व्हाट इज द बेसिक ऑफ दिस. कि वो जब रीस्ट्रक्चर कर पाएंगे, उनका जो उन्होंने अपनी इमेज जो क्रिएट की है, अपर कास्ट की जो इमेज क्रिएट की है, उसको पिछली इमेज को ब्रेक करके नई इमेज क्रिएट करना, जब तक हम वो साइकोलॉजिकल लेवल पे नहीं करेंगे तब तक बहुत सारी चीजें सुपरफिशियल रहती हैं. सो कॉन्शियंटाइजेशन का जो एंटायर प्रोसेस होता है, पॉलो फरारे की किताब है, इनफैक्ट मार्टिन लूथर किंग ने भी ये किया है. और इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आई हैड फॉरगॉटन, बट थैंक यू फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन, कि जो पावर की जो डायमेंशन होती है ना, कि जो मैंने कहा कि कमोडिटी है, अगर मेरे पास है तो आपके पास नहीं है, तो एक और अलग पावर जो हम लोग वहां पर रियलाइज करवा पाए थ्रू दिस रिसर्च इज शेयर्ड पावर. वो पावर ऐसी नहीं है कि अगर मेरे पास है तो आपके पास नहीं है. तो वो जो नोशन ऑफ शेयर्ड पावर, पावर विद वाला कॉन्सेप्ट है कि वो कमोडिटी नहीं है. इट इज एन एट्रीब्यूट जो आपके पास भी हो सकता है, जो मेरे पास भी हो सकता है, एंड दैट इज मच मोर सस्टेनेबल एंड मीनिंगफुल. तो अनलेस एंड अनटिल उन सब चीजों का टेस्ट आप दे पाएंगे, कोलैबोरेटिव एक्शन आप करवा पाएंगे, तब तक डिफिकल्ट रहता है. सो कॉन्शियंटाइजेशन, कोलैबोरेशन, कॉग्निटिव रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग, these are a few strategies that are important.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. There are many questions, but again, I would say, because of paucity of time, we may not be able to take up that. But anyhow, I would request my colleagues and participants, they do drop in chat box as well as our center's email, so that later on we can send it to you for your comments, and that will
Sure,
be
sir. Sure, sir.
responded like that. So, in short, I would say, ma'am, as a director of the center, I'm so obliged and thankful to you that you have spared time and very good and informative study you have shared with us. I hope that the participants, they must have been benefited out of it. And at the outset, I am also thankful to participants who are listening in good number, and they must have been also benefited. Definitely, this is the beginning of the channel. We don't want to stop it here. We would have more online as well as offline interactions with you, ma'am, as well. And center would try to be in touch with other experts on different dimensions, so that our participants and all those who are in touch with us, they should be benefited. Once again, very thank you to you, ma'am. Hope to receive
Thank
more
you so much.
interactions with you. And I'm really thankful to my esteemed Vice Chancellor also that he always encourages us to take such type of initiatives. Now I request Dr. Niharika Subhash to please present formal vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All participants are also requested to please fill in feedback form. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.